Ever notice how a simple living room refresh somehow turns into renovating the entire downstairs? Or when your client says, "Oh, while you're at it, could you just..." And suddenly you're designing custom storage solutions that weren't in the original plan? You're not alone. The thing is, the difference between profitable design projects and those that drain your energy isn't just about talent. It's about managing all of those little extras that your clients are pushing for that weren't in the original brief, otherwise known as scope creep. But how do you manage scope creep tactfully without damaging client relationships? In this video, I'm breaking down exactly how to handle scope creep diplomatically so that you can maintain your boundaries, protect your profits, and still have clients who rave about working with you. So if you've ever found yourself doing extra work that you're not getting paid for because you didn't know how to say no, then this video is going to change everything about how you run your business. Scope creep is one of the biggest challenges that interior designers face. It can transform a profitable project into a time-consuming nightmare and turn a dream client into someone that you dread hearing from. But the good news is that with the right systems and scripts, you can manage scope creep proactively and professionally. And today I'm going to share the exact framework that I've used to handle scope changes in a way that actually maintains client relationships, but also protects your time and your profitability. So these are techniques that I've refined through running my own practice, but also through helping hundreds of other interior designers do the same. I'm Kate Tatherall, and here at the Interior Designers Hub, we teach people how to set up, grow and run successful interior design businesses. You see, most designers believe that saying yes to client requests is the key to great service. But here's the problem. Every time you agree to do work that's outside of your original scope without addressing it directly, you're actually teaching your client that your boundaries are flexible and your time isn't really valuable. And that's a fast track to you losing profits and credibility quickly. If you continue accommodating scope creep, you might unintentionally be transforming profitable projects into financial losses, whilst also creating precedents that are hard to break for the future. So what's the real cost of saying yes to everything? Let me share a quick story. I once worked with a designer who agreed to just take a quick look at her client's guest bedroom during a kitchen remodel. You've probably done that yourself, right? So that quick look turned into selecting paint colours, sourcing furniture, and even styling the space, all of which was completely unpaid work, and it had the knock-on effect of delaying her other projects, and of course it caused her immense stress. Not only that, but she came away feeling pretty disgruntled about the project too, and that's not great for client relationships. One of the biggest misconceptions is that addressing a scope creep will make you seem difficult or inflexible, and I get that. We want to provide really great customer service. But in reality, you're not difficult or inflexible. In fact, the opposite is true. Clients often respect designers who can clearly communicate their processes and value and own their own expertise enough to charge appropriately for it. Another misunderstanding that designers make is thinking that scope creep only affects your current project. But the truth is, how you're handling additions now sets the tone for your entire client relationship and even referrals in the future. Clients who believe that they can include anything they want to into your service are going to tell their friends the same thing, and that creates a cycle of unprofitable projects. So let's dive into what I call the boundary blueprint, and this is a 3-part framework for handling scope creep professionally. Did you know that scope creep can reduce your hourly rate by up to 40%? And that's why this framework is so crucial for maintaining profitability on your projects. So step 1 is prevention, and the best way to handle scope creep is to prevent it before it starts, and that means creating crystal clear proposals and contracts that specifically outline what is and isn't included. So instead of giving vague descriptions like living room design, be really detailed and specific. For example, the design includes space planning, furniture selection of 3 to 5 sofa options, 2 to 3 coffee table options, 2 side chair options, 2 lamp options, and 2 rounds of revisions. Do you see how detailed that is? Also, make sure that you're specifying what's not included as well. So for example, additional spaces, structural changes, or more than 2 revision rounds will require an addendum to this agreement. When you've put that in writing and explained it right at the beginning of the project, you're going to be heading off most of the problems that can arise with scope creep. You can always refer back to that and to your conversation when scope creep rears its ugly head. The second step in the blueprint is recognition. So we don't always realise when scope creep is happening, but it's really important to identify it straight off. Here are 3 key warning signs to look out for. Firstly, the "while you're at it" requests. When clients ask for small additions that seem minor, but they can actually add up quickly, those are the ones to look out for. Secondly, the mission expansion, where the original goal shifts entirely, like moving from decorating to renovating. And thirdly, the endless revision cycle, where the client keeps requesting changes beyond the agreed number of rounds. Let me tell you about a project that almost broke me. I was designing a home office and the client kept adding requests. "Oh, can you look at the lighting in the hallway too? What if we moved this wall?" Before I implemented this blueprint framework, I would have just absorbed all of this extra work. But instead, on this project, I recognised the scope creep immediately and moved to step 3. And the third step is response. So this is where most designers struggle because it just feels icky and uncomfortable. But I've developed 3 response templates that work beautifully. If you can kind of ingrain these in your memory, then it's going to be so much easier to come back with a response as soon as you sense scope creep happening. So the first response I like to call the enthusiastic redirect, and it sounds like this. "Oh, I'd love to help you with your hallway lighting too. That would be outside of our current agreement, but I can put together a quick proposal for that additional service. Would you like me to do that?" Notice how this doesn't say no, it actually says yes, but it sets some clear parameters around that work. The second response is the transparent timeline approach. So this sounds a little like, well, adding the wall removal to our project would extend our timeline by approximately 3 weeks, and obviously it's going to require coordination with contractors. Is that something you'd like to explore, or would you prefer to stick with our original timeline? This gently highlights the consequences of scope changes without making it personal. And response 3 is the value clarification, which sounds a bit like this. "Oh, I completely understand wanting to address the kitchen whilst we're updating the living room, but for me to give that the attention it deserves, I'd need to create a separate agreement. The additional investment would probably be around X pounds. How would you like to proceed?" Do you see how this frames the conversation around value rather than just cost? Now, we also need to look at this from your client's perspective for a moment too. They're not trying to take advantage of you by doing this. They simply don't understand the design process as well as you do. So by being clear and professional, you're actually educating them and providing a better service. So let's make this actionable with some specific steps that you can implement immediately. So first, conduct a contract audit. Review your current contract and identify any vague areas that could lead to scope creep. Add in specific language about what happens when project scope changes. Include the exact number of revisions, meetings, and deliverables. Secondly, create a change order template or a change log template. This can be a simple, professional form that outlines, firstly, the original scope, then the requested changes, the additional time and cost involved, and a space for client approval. Once you've got this ready, it means that you can respond quickly and confidently when scope changes arise. And thirdly, it sounds silly, but you need to practice your response scripts. The hardest part of handling scope creep is the actual conversation. That's the bit that makes us feel uncomfortable. So rehearse your responses until they feel natural. You can even role play it with a colleague or friend if that doesn't feel too awkward. Fourth, implement a project management system that makes scope visible to both you and your client. This could be as simple as a shared document or a spreadsheet, or as robust as an entire project management software. But the key thing is that everyone on the project can see what's included and what's not. So even if you only implement one of these strategies from this video, start with clarifying your contract language. This single change can prevent most scope creep issues before they begin. And once you start using these techniques, you'll notice 3 immediate benefits. Your profitability will increase, your stress will decrease, and surprisingly, your client satisfaction will improve because your expectations are clearer. So let's make this interactive. I'd love for you to let me know what's one scope creep situation you faced and how did you handle it? Or what's the most challenging part of setting boundaries with clients? If you found this helpful and want to learn more about running a profitable interior design business, check out our other helpful resources linked to below. And if you're serious about transforming your design business, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of our weekly business strategies for interior designers. Thanks for watching, and remember, clear boundaries don't just protect your business, they also allow you to serve your clients at the highest level. I'll see you in the next video.